This is Triple Play Fantasy Basketball, hitting you with that 2024 NBA mock draft lottery style. We're going to go through pick by pick of the lottery teams after the balls were selected yesterday. Number one pick went to Atlanta Hawks. They had a 3% chance of getting it. So they were the big winners as far as getting a higher draft position based on their record. Alex Sarr is the guy that got to go with. In back-to-back years, when we saw Wembenyama going last year, we had the 7-1. It worked out pretty good for the Spurs. Then we have the 7-1 Frenchman, Alex Sarr, would then get drafted this year. He shows loads of defensive potential. No, this isn't Wemby. And, that's a generational talent. But his per 36 minutes playing for Perth in the NBL in Australia, 20-9, giving you nearly 3 blocks and a steal, shooting 70% from the free throw line. His mechanics show well. He needs to really develop that shooting and three-point potential, three-point shooting to be maybe a stretch big that you fall back, and Atlanta has their big man of the future. Clint Capella, we don't know how long that'll stay. He's getting old up there. This is young, disgruntled as he went out. Maybe you can, build your future around a guy like Alex Sarr and maybe DeJounte Murray going forward. And two, the Wizards, you got nothing. You got no stars. So you got to try to swing for the fences, do your best to try to get somebody that might pop later on in the future. And it is another Frenchman in Risacher. Last year they picked Kulubali. This could be your wings going forward. He's a really good catch and shoot player. He's got some decent athleticism and a potential to really hit down the road. Hey, it could fall on your face and it could be a bust, but you got to swing for the fences. I know this is a draft that isn't strong. It's one of the worst over 10 years, but you can find role players in here. When you're at the top of the draft, you got to try to get a star. Now, Houston moved up big time. They showed that they can compete a little bit. And a win now player is Donovan Cligan, back-to-back championships at UConn, being the anchor of that defense. He shows some passing potential. He really shuts down the paint. He's a man. He's huge. You don't know how the fit would be necessarily with Şengün, but we saw when he went out, they didn't have another big man. Yeah, they ran and had Thompson kind of 5.5 position, and it was working out pretty well. I like Clinging, whether that's him pairing with Şengün or you bring him off the bench and develop him for the future, but you have a solid selection in him. There's so many young wings on that team. I think going big and getting Clinging as a sure thing is a smart move. San Antonio sits here. They need a point guard. They need a guard. They go back and forth. Is it Topic? It's big shot. Rob, baby. Rob Dillingham is the best scorer in this draft. He can go get himself a bucket at any time. He's a good playmaker. He's got a bag. He's got some defensive problems. And maybe, you got Wemby back there to help clean that up. Of any team fit to pick a Dillingham with his defensive inefficiencies, it is San Antonio. So I would get Dillingham. I think he's got a strong promise. I think he's going to play in the league a long time and get you buckets. Great fit. At 5, Detroit basketball. You need a shooter. And I'm getting Reed Sheppard. Look at these splits. 54 from the field, 52 from 3, 83 from the line. He's got good feels, a good connector piece. He's got some playmaking. Defensively, he's out there strapping. Nah, he's not the biggest guy, but he gets it. He's got good, strong pedigree. A game of basketball. Detroit Pistons, you pair him with Cunningham. I know you got Ivy in the fold, but I think they really desperately need shooting, and why not get the best shooter or one of the best shooters in the draft? And a sure thing, Reed Sheppard. At 6, the Hornets, they think long and hard. They still have, LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller to build around. What do? Give me Stephon Castle of that championship UConn team. This freshman, 6'6", he's got a real good feel. He can really pass the ball. He really needs to develop his shot. But he's a dog out there. He gets after it on defense. He's a competitor. He's somebody that's going to be getting better year in and year out. And you go Ball, Castle, Brandon Miller, and then build around that. I like my chances. Hopefully, Mark Williams is healthy. Give me Castle, somebody I really love. The Blazers, they do have 2 picks here in the lottery, including a pick 14. And at 7, after getting Scoot Henderson last year, give me Matas Buzelis of the G League Ignite. 14 points, 6.5 rebounds. Wasn't a great fit with him and Holland and all the other guys at Ignite. But I think this kid out of this draft is one of those players that has a really high ceiling down the road. He's a big kind of guard wing player, 6'10, 200 pounds. He's got really good shot mechanics, although the only year that he shot well was his senior year, winning Gatorade Player of the Year in Kansas. Other than that, the rest of his high school career, Ignite, his shooting hasn't been great, but you see him in the workouts and you see his shot looks good. And I think that eventually down the line, you're looking at a starter. So Portland Trailblazers are looking for good players. You could pair him in there and see what happens going forward. At 8, with the Spurs' second pick in this draft, after going Big Shot Bob at 4, they thought about Nikola Topic with that pick, and he falls in their lap, and they get another playmaking guard. He's 6'6". He's got a little bit better size. They do need playmaking on this team. I don't think Trey Jones is the answer. You got Devin Vassell. You got Sohan. Topic just seems like he fits right in. And whether that's he's your starting point guard or the man that carries it off the bench, I like both of those players to go fit around Wemby going forward. At 9, the Grizzlies. Yeah, they fell off the face of everything this year with the injuries and John Morant and that whole ordeal. They can get a solid role player. I go back and forth with Dog Knecht, but I had to go Ron Holland. I think that the whole Dylan situation, they need a dog out there on defense. He's a good connector piece. Did average 19.5 points for the G League Ignite, nearly 7 rebounds, 2.5 steals. He shows that defensive ability, and they need that type of wing defender when you're in the Western Conference and you got each and every team that's putting their best guys out there. You need another dog out there, and I think he fits perfectly with this Grizzlies team. Ron Holland, who has been spending his fair share at the #1 prospect this year. I think they get a steal. Utah at 10. Speaking of steal, Dalton Knecht, he might go before here because he's maybe the best shooter in this draft, 6'6". The Spurs might really like him at number 8. He had 6 games with over 36 points. He had 40 against Kentucky. We saw what he did in the tournament. He can fill it up quick. He can get really hot. And shooting is a premium in the NBA. And Will Hardy and all his offensive schemes, I think Utah will like him a lot at the 10 pick. At 11, you got Chicago Bulls. They need a point guard going forward. Lonzo Ball thing did not work out. I know he picked up his option. Need to go down that road. Kobe White, we saw the huge leap that he took. He had the potential to be most improved player in this league, giving you 18-5. Isaiah Collier, who the best point guard prospect of this draft class going in. I think he had a rough year at USC, but I think his future is bright. We saw him in McDonald's All-American game, tear it up, the MVP just a year ago. He's a polished point guard, and he's going to get after it. I think people are going to go back and be like, how did Isaiah Collier drop so far? And I've seen certain drafts, he's even going lower than this. I think Chicago gets a bona fide point guard here at 11. Give me Isaiah Collier. At 12, the Thunder, they like long, rangy players. And guess who falls in their lap? None other than Cody Williams, brother of Jalen Williams, who's just stepped into superstardom in his second year in OKC. He fits the mold. The connecting piece. He's got good shot mechanics. He's a good defender. He's part of that future plan. He didn't have the strongest year. He had some injuries, but the potential is there. The makeup is there. I love Cody Williams to a lot of these destinations, but if he's sitting there at 12, there's no way OKC passes up on Cody Williams. At 13, I am back and forth. A lot of players that I see here. Jacoby Walters, one that I thought of. I just personally like Jared McCain a lot better. I think again, shooting is premier in the NBA, and he's a premier shooter. He can really snipe it, and he could pair well with De'Aaron Fox. I don't know if the Monk Herder is the future there at the two guard position. I think one of them is going to find a different destination. I could see him in DHOs with Sabonis. He's a dog no matter where he's gonna go. I thought about him at OKC because they need some shooting. Obviously, the Giddey thing's not fitting, but his size might catch up to him in the NBA a little bit. But I like him. I think he is a for sure thing. Like out of this draft, last year, Keontae George, it was like I like him. I think he's gonna be good player. He's gonna go too low. I like Jared McCain in this draft. Don't know if Sacramento gets with the 13, but I couldn't leave him off of this lottery draft. And then at 14, Portland with their second pick, I had them get Buzelis at 7. At 14, Kyle Filipowski. I know a lot of people are low on him because he's a little bit of a stiff, but he's 7 foot 250. He's got some good shot mechanics. It's not 100% there, but he does have a potential to be a stretch big. We saw that when DeAndre Ayton was out, they had nobody else. So you get a big man that could either come in on a bench or, he's just in his sophomore year at Duke, and he's been putting up big numbers along the way. He's really took a bit of a jump defensively. He was less of a liability this past year, giving you 1.5 blocks and a steal. I like Filipowski a lot better than a lot of people, but you tell me what you think. All right. This is just that first lottery pick. We got the full first round that's going to be hitting at you at a future time, but fresh on my mind next day. This is what I had. This is what I went with. You let me know who would you get in a certain position. Maybe, you don't like Alex Sarr at the number 1 pick. I could hear your argument. There's probably 10 different players that you could look at on the board, and nobody's really separating themselves. That's why I took Cligan at 3. That's why I took some of these other players based on a fit position as opposed to best player available, depending on the team that was selected. Again, I'm Coach James Lewis. Let me know. Give me a like. Hit me with a sub. Give me a comment. I'll comment back. You got to love this type of season in the draft lottery. Till next time. Peace.